Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Brew Jackets. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed podcast. My name is Kevin, and joining me tonight is my co-host, Hefty Duck, as well as our good friend of the show, the man of truth himself, our good friend, Heartsy, as well as our good friend of the show, the man who likes to say wood, our good friend Wyan. We've also invited other people to come on the show, so whether they come or not, that's okay. There's always next time. But anyways, we got a lot of stuff to talk about going on in the Blue Jackets world. The Blue Jackets trade Daniil Tarasov. He's going to the Panthers. They get a 5th round draft pick. We're going to talk about that. Blue Jackets prospect Gavin Brindley has been traded to Colorado, and the Blue Jackets get Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood. We're going to talk about that. The Blue Jackets signed Dante Fabro to a new 4-year deal. We're going to talk about that. Caden Lindstrom news. So Blue Jackets prospect Caden Lindstrom. We're going to talk about that. And our player report card series. And we're going to talk about who did the Blue Jackets draft in the most recent 2025 NHL Draft. All this and so much more. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Welcome in. I hope everyone has had a good week. It's been hot as hell here in Ohio. My thermometer has been over 90 several times this week. And excuse me if my voice is a little rough. I've been kind of sick this last week. Hoping to get better. The heat doesn't help. But anyway, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I don't know where to start. Oh, real quick though. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Wherever you're watching from, if it's from YouTube or Twitter, check out the other platform if you would. We'd love you for that. Check us out on Facebook. And definitely check out our YouTube for sure. But yeah.
All
our
right.
brains kind of going slow.
Hard.
What do you want to start with?
Okay, Hartsy, we tried getting you in here last time. It didn't work out. So let's try this again.
All right.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah. For the past I've been trying to talk about the NHL All Rookie team, and Xfinity just would not let it happen. But there were a couple of obviously Matvei Michkov made the NHL All Rookie team. But if I can type fast enough, I'll be able to get to it.
Boycott Xfinity.
Yeah, boycott Xfinity. Fuck
Xfinity's
you
fault
guys.
now. It's your fault now.
Yeah, it is my fault now. I have no one to blame but myself. Anyway, the 2025 All-Rookie team includes Matvei Michkov, Cutter Gauthier, fuck that guy, Macklin Celebrini, Lane Hudson, Denton Mateychuk, and Dustin Wolf. And I wanted to just shout out my Russian fella real quick. And, of course, I mean, that's nothing I have to say. I just want to say fuck Cutter Gauthier and shout out to Matvei Michkov.
Yeah. All right, so just wanted to, we'll get Hearts in here later on in the show because he wants to go on a heater ripping on the NHL draft and how he thought it went, and we'll get him in here.
Uh-oh.
But for now, I would like to start off by saying that the Blue Jackets traded Daniil Tarasov for a 5th round pick. He's going down to Florida to play for the Panthers.
Damn.
The 5th round draft pick that the Blue Jackets got was in the 2025 NHL Draft. And honestly, we've talked about this on the show many times.
Literally last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last week and other shows before that, something had to give with the whole goaltending thing for the Blue Jackets. The question being is, what are you going to do? Is it Daniil
Butter.
Tarasov? Is it Daniil Tarasov and Jet Greaves? Is it Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves? I don't, it could many possibilities there, and all three of these goalies have had their moments where they didn't look good, except Jet Greaves. He's been good, but Elvis Merzlikins and Daniil Tarasov, they've had moments where they didn't look good, but then they've also had moments where they've looked good, and there have been games that the Blue Jackets have won because of Daniil Tarasov or Elvis Merzlikins. And there's that question. Well, something has to be done here because you can't keep having three goalies. Ultimately, what happened is Daniil Tarasov gets traded to the Panthers, and I'm okay with that. I like Daniil Tarasov. There's been moments where he's been a good player for the Blue Jackets. He's helped us win some games, but it just comes down to this: is that Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves were more consistent guys that you could count on more to get the job done compared to Daniil Tarasov. As of right now, if the season started today, your goalies are Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves. That could change, but that's where it's going right now, and I like it. You realize that that Daniil Tarasov's probably not going to be the guy, so you trade him and you get a draft pick for him and you use him to get something. So overall, I like that there.
Yeah. I don't think it's a dumb move by any means. It's hard to say that Tarasov would be a number, like if the season started and it was him and Merzlikins, just like this last year, Merzlikins is going to be in that first spot. So I don't think he's a bad second. I did bring up last week that he's never had a fully like a winning record in the NHL yet, unfortunately. But as a second, he could be very valuable. I'm not sure exactly what Florida's plan is there, but yeah, for them to have gotten something for him instead of nothing, I think that was a decent move. Because Jack Greaves was going to be in the picture no matter what, and I just think that Merzlikins, whether or not some people think he's the man or not, he has the most experience. He has he has more playoff experience than either of those two dudes. You can't run a season and expect to get to the playoffs and do well with two guys who have like zero playoff experience at all. And maybe beginner's luck. And maybe Jack Greaves does amazing, and I hope he does. But it's just Waddell is. Looking at his other moves too. He's about experienced players. There's a nice young core. Everyone knows that. So experienced players are going to get probably the first look.
Yeah,
right now,
and there's stuff that you like about Daniil Tarasov. He's 6'5", 200 plus pounds, and he's a big goalie. Kind of fills up the net. And there have been games where he was playing for the Blue Jackets where they'd win because of him. And I just got a kick out of it. You'd show the replay where opposing teams would try and shoot on him, and they'd be so frustrated because he's so big and oh, where am I supposed to shoot at? Sort of thing. Daniil Tarasov's really his best moments with the Blue Jackets was the second half of the 2023-2024 season, where he just played outstanding. And he's a big reason why the Blue Jackets won some games in the second half of that season. And it's a reason why that second half of the season was much more competitive and much more better compared to the first half of that season because of Daniil Tarasov. So there's stuff to like there. I don't necessarily know why the Panthers made a trade for him, but if I had to take a guess, they probably look at him and say, okay, this guy, he's 6'5", 200 plus pounds. He has athleticism. He's shown he can be a good goalie. I think we can do something with this.
Just in front of them.
Yeah. Maybe that helps. And I read somewhere too that this is a move to protect the Panthers, that there's a potential that they might lose their backup goaltender to free agency. So this might be, if they do, this might be a move to protect from that.
Yeah, very possible. Do you guys have any input on this? Either Wine or Artsy?
I wasn't really following Daniil Tarasov, but I mean, you're definitely right. He is big. He's 6'5". He's freaking huge, and he's still fairly young for a goaltender. He's only 26.
Yeah,
and maybe being in a different system is what he needs. It's helped out other players.
And I mean, it would kind of be difficult to send him down to Cleveland because number one, he'd have to clear waivers, and
he's not clearing waivers. I don't think any of them are at this point.
No, but I mean, we couldn't really see much of him. He only played 20 games this past season, and
the most he ever played was 24 in the season. That was
So I mean, I think he'd do well in Florida, and in the chance that they do lose Vitek Vanacek. But I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. You gotta pick for him. You didn't lose him for nothing.
Yeah.
All's well that ends well.
Yeah, and
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. But anything else, Wine?
Yeah, it was just a move Columbus needed to make room for Jet Greaves. That's kind of what that was.
Yeah. And Hartsey does bring up a good point there, is you can't put him. There's a reason why. I know some people didn't want Daniil Tarasov on the Blue Jackets anymore. I saw those tweets throughout the season. But the reason that didn't happen is he's 6'5", 200 plus pounds, and he's shown he can be a good goalie. And if you put him on waivers, someone's claiming him. And you just can't do that, considering the fact that, well, one, you don't want to lose a guy for nothing. But on top of that, the goaltending spot for the Blue Jackets wasn't the greatest, and making yourself weaker at that position by losing a guy on waivers is not a very smart thing to do. So that you combine the fact that plus, Daniil Tarasov has shown he can be good. You don't want to lose that for nothing. So they get something for him. So that's pretty good. Now, we'll be moving on to the next thing, which is this. The Blue Jackets almost got defenseman Noah Dobson from the New York Islanders. Noah Dobson is seen as one of the better defensemen in the NHL. He's a young up-and-coming player, and he's a guy that could be a star defenseman sometime in the future. First-line, second-line guy. And it almost happened, because there was this talk, Hefty Duck and I, we've talked about this on our show before, which is, if you're the Blue Jackets, you have these 2 first-round draft picks 14 and 20. What do you do with that? Do you trade both of them? Do you trade one of them? Or do you use both draft picks? And there was a possibility that the Blue Jackets almost did not have a draft pick in the first round, because they tried to get Noah Dobson. They came down to the Blue Jackets and Montreal. It's come out now that the Blue Jackets offered their 2 first-round draft picks plus Dmitry Voronkov, and they offered Noah Dobson more money compared to Montreal. But in the end, it did not happen, because the New York Islanders wanted not only the 2 first-round draft picks for the Blue Jackets and Dmitry Voronkov, they also wanted either another draft pick or a prospect. And when it comes down to that, the Blue Jackets made the correct decision to say no, because that is too much. That's being greedy. That's way too expensive. The Blue Jackets had a much better deal to give the Islanders than Montreal did, but the Islanders were being just a touch greedy, in my opinion. You just can't say we want your 2 first-round draft picks plus Dmitry Voronkov. Oh, we want another draft pick or one of your prospects. That's just unacceptable. That's too greedy. That's too much, too expensive. So the Blue Jackets made the right call to not do that deal. I do believe if the Blue Jackets got Noah Dobson, he would have been an awesome player for the Blue Jackets. But in the end, it was the correct move by the Blue Jackets to not do that deal because it was too expensive.
Yeah. That's a lot for a defenseman. I'm a little bit surprised in a way at the attempt to trade Voronkov. He's got a decent. What does he have to be offered? Okay, his qualifying offer is. Well, other teams can offer him whatever. He's an RFA, but his last previous cap hit was $925,000. So, it's not a bad contract. If someone else wants to try to pick him up for a similar amount or sign him for a little bit more or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of really like Dmitry Voronkov. He's only 24 as well. I mean, Dobson's only 25, but
Yeah.
I don't. Although I pretty much trust with Waddell because he did really well with the Carolina Hurricanes and he has that background. I don't want to see all the young guys just suddenly being traded for experienced guys because the experienced guys are great, but like some of these guys, I don't know. I like them.
No,
I think they have a lot of potential.
The only thing I could think of why Voronkov was included in this is that if you think about it, that's more of a look. It should, and Don Waddell was like this when he was with Carolina. Is that he used some of their better players as trying to get something better, like a gift to give. If you want a top defenseman, that means you're probably going to have to give up something that you don't want to, but are going to have to. And there were times where Carolina, I read articles about this where he tried to use some of Carolina's top players to get something that he wanted. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So then when I hear that, I'm not necessarily surprised that he used Dmitry Voronkov to try and get one of the better defensemen in the NHL.
That's fair.
Not me personally.
Dobson and Werenski on the same team.
Yep, that would have been good.
Sick.
Me personally, when I heard Voronkov was potentially going to get traded, I didn't like it, but I also understand it. It's one of those things. If you want to get something, you got to get something. You got to give up something to get something. And Voronkov, he is the type of player that you want on your team. He's 6'5", 230, and he can score goals. He's perfect for right in front of the net, deflection goals, screening, just garbage goals where he just jams it right in front of the net, tips, power play. He was on first line, second line guy, can play third line as well. And then he was on basically the best line on hockey all season long and the analytics like that line of Voronkov, Marchenko, and Monahan, that was really good. So there's stuff you can like about Dmitry Voronkov, and I can understand why Don Waddell would use him to try and get something. I don't like it, but I get it. So in the end, the trade didn't work out, and I'm still happy that the Blue Jackets still have Dmitry Voronkov. So, Hartsey or Wyan, do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, just in regards to the New York Islanders, it was also the worst kept secret in the league that they were trying to trade up for James Higgins in this draft.
Yeah.
So I think the reason they were trying to get so many assets out of Columbus is that they figured that that's what they need to trade up. And when Montreal had like picks 16 and 17, but I believe Columbus's second first round pick was lower than that, if I'm
Mhm.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they might have figured that 16 and 17 would give them a better chance of trading up
Yeah.
for Higgins, which obviously didn't end up happening, but
Yeah.
that might have been what their thought process was.
Yeah. That's
You
fair.
damn right.
But you got anything to say about that, Heartsy?
Yeah. No, Wine's completely right. It was literally like the whole world and their mother knew that the Islanders were trying to trade up to get Higgins.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Flyers fans saying we should have made an offer for Dobson, maybe but I don't see a reason to give up number 6 for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think when it comes to like the deal itself with Dobson, I mean, I think he ended up going somewhere that he would be pretty all right in, and he got himself a nice fat contract. He's making himself like $9.5 million a year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty happy that the Jackets didn't make that deal because the Islanders were going to try to flip those picks until they could get Higgins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was all a part of their evil scheme. So, kudos for the Jackets to not, fold into that.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the Islanders. Fuck those guys.
So we're gonna put this comment on the screen from Boomtown. How are you feeling about your goalie situation? Do you think Merzlikins is the guy, or can Jet Greaves take over the net this year? Well, that's what we're about to find out this upcoming season. The thing is with Elvis Merzlikins, it's a consistency issue. Sometimes he's bad, but when he's good, he is good to where he can just take over a game. And the Blue Jackets win because of that. That has happened multiple times before. So it's just a consistency thing with Elvis Merzlikins. We need him to be the good Elvis Merzlikins on a more consistent basis. A big reason why the Blue Jackets win the outdoor game is because Elvis Merzlikins was on like God tier mode where he just went on a heater and was ridiculously good, and which is just minus the 3 goals, he was just stopping just about everything that Detroit shot at him. Also the fact Detroit's defense was ass and, they gave up 5 goals, but, that's besides the point. Not a high stick, Detroit fans, you're cringe. Your defense is ass. That's why you lose, but that's besides the point. So there's that. With Jet Greaves, that's the more of the question. That's a question mark too, because like we've seen him play good for the Monsters. He's a big reason why the Monsters went to the conference finals, in the AHL. And then he played some games this season and he looked good, including that final 6 games of the season where he went on a heater, played really good, and went 6-0. And he's a big reason why the Blue Jackets were still fighting for a playoff spot until the second to last game of the season. So there's that. But my concern is he hasn't played a lot of games yet. Can he handle a full season this season? Also, the book is kind of out on him now. Teams have tape on him. They can go back to what he did with the Monsters down in Cleveland. They can also now go back to what he's done with the Blue Jackets. And I just hope that when teams start figuring out how you shoot on him, that he's able to counter that and find a way to, counter that. Because you've seen this at times where there's goalies, they start off good, they go on a heater, and then once other teams figure out the book on you, they have no answer for that. And then that's your career, basically. You're done after that. Because we'll just say this, I'm not saying this about Jet Greaves, but we'll just use this as a general example. If I know that you suck at glove side, I can score glove side goals on you all the time, and you can't stop it, you're not going to last long in the NHL. If you have just that one weak spot, that teams know that you can shoot at and you can't counter that, you're done. And that's the only concern that I have with, well, two concerns with Jet Greaves is that can he handle a full NHL season? And the book is now out on Jet Greaves. What are you going to do that now teams can go back, they look at a video and the highlights and they can see, okay, he's good at this, but we can attack him here. This is how we can score goals on him. Can you counter that? Because if you can, I think the Blue Jackets will be all right because he's shown he can be a good goalie. You just got to take that next step and hope everything works out. Because the worst thing that could happen to the Blue Jackets is that they go into next season and let's say they have Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves and both of them suck. And now it's too late to really you can make a trade or get someone off of waivers during the season, but it's much harder. And I'd rather not be in that position. I would like to be in a position this upcoming season where the Blue Jackets, they're playing games and, they don't really have an issue with their goalies. That's where I'm at with that. So we'll pass this question around to Heartsy, Wine, and Hefty Duck.
Yeah, no, we talked a little bit about this earlier, and I kind of said what I felt then. I'm feeling fine with it. Yeah, I think Merzlikins is the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Jet Greaves is going to take over this year. Maybe next.
Yeah.
Just to keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Heartsy, your Wine, you got anything to say?
I mean, I think Elvis is going to be the guy for quite the while. I mean, he's been the guy for quite the while. He has been a bit inconsistent, but I think he knows, I think Elvis knows, like, he has to pick up the slack now.
Yeah.
Because there's a guy on his rear end possibly taking his starting job, and I don't think he wants that. I don't think any starting goaltender wants to lose their job.
No.
I think that's just basic common knowledge. But I mean, I've seen Greaves play. I mean, I think he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
If, Elvis decides, you know what, Columbus isn't hitting anymore, and decides, I'm going to go somewhere else, then 100% Greaves will take that net from him. And I think he'll do just fine as the starter. But right now, when it comes to this upcoming season, there's no way Jet Greaves is number one. At the very best, it's a 1A, 1B, and Jet Greaves is the 1B.
Yeah.
There's no way you give up. There's no way. I mean, unless you guys have that much trust in Jet Greaves, then, fuck it, go for it. But I think Elvis is keeping that spot.
Yeah. You got anything to say here, Wyan?
Yeah, I don't got a ton to add to this one, but I'll probably end up being Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes down to experience and playoff experience, in my opinion. Yeah.
Next up.
Yeah. Gotta give him something.
Also from Boomtown, one more question, if I may. Should the Jackets push the chips in for Marner? Feels like he'd be a perfect to unlock Fantilli. Yeah, if you put him on a line with Adam Fantilli, that'd be pretty good. I do believe that Mitch Marner would be a good player for the Blue Jackets. I just have a slight pushback on that, is that one, I'm not saying Mitch Marner doesn't deserve this. I think he does, but the amount of money I've seen out there is what he could potentially get is like 8-year deal for 12 million, 13 million, 14 million. That is just a bit expensive for me personally. I get it. If the Blue Jackets had to do it, I get it. So I get that. But on the flip side, the Blue Jackets are really good at offense this past season. That was their strength. This isn't to say that you can't make it better. You can. If they got him, I would not be against it. I would absolutely be okay with it. But offense is not my top priority and where I want to, make additions for the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets were one of the best teams at scoring goals this season. They were top 10. They were one of the best 5-on-5 teams at scoring goals this season. Their home power play was just over 26%. Really good. The Blue Jackets scored 6 goals 15 times this season. Kirill Marchenko, 31 goals. Adam Fantilli, 31 goals. They had, multiple 20-goal scores. Like, I'm not against the Blue Jackets getting Mitch Marner, but I think it would be better suited to try and focus somewhere else on the defense and maybe a goalie first, because that's where the issue is for the Blue Jackets. If you pick Mitch Marner or someone else in free agency that's good on offense, fine, I'm okay with that, but that's not my first priority. I think the Blue Jackets would be better suited to spend some of that money in free agency on someone on defense if they did that.
Yeah, honestly, man, if Voronkov were included in a deal for Marner or something like that, and I almost think that they should do almost anything to get him in a way. I mean, he had over 100 points this last season. That would put him at the top of the Blue Jackets above Zach Werenski. To be fair, Sean Monahan would have had a hell of a shot at it too if he was healthy the whole season. But I that's just my personal feelings. I think that he would really elevate that part of the team. But keeping in mind that getting another like top 4 defenseman or would be more of a priority for me.
Yes.
So,
and Mitch Marner does have a wife and a kid, and Columbus is perfect for that. So if you have a family, Columbus is perfect for that. It's a great place to raise a family, and you can have a nice night out on the town at like a restaurant or a bar or something, and no one's going to bug you. You don't have to worry about people being on your ass and just nitpicking you for every single little thing that you do, good or bad. You can have a nice night out on the town with your family and not have to worry about that sort of stuff. But that's besides the point. I agree with you, Hefty Duck. If they got him, it'd be cool, but defense is more a priority. That should be what they should focus on first, because that's the issue, not scoring goals.
Especially when there's talks with the Vegas Golden Knights, and they're gonna beat you out.
Yes. So, Heartsy and Wine will get you in here.
Yeah, I think in general, I agree with Mr. Hefty Duck. I think they should take a chance on Mitch Marner if he does indeed want to go there. I understand having concerns about the money, but at the same time, Columbus has a ton of cap space, and I don't think signing Mitch Marner is going to prevent you from signing defensemen as well.
I understand that. The Blue Jackets do have a lot of cap space, but just because they have a lot of cap space doesn't mean you should. They have to be smart with it, because Fantilli's going to need a new deal, and eventually Kent Johnson, Marchenko, and a bunch of other guys, as well as Provorov if they sign him, or if they pick if they're looking at a guy in free agency. You don't want to be stupid with your money and then say, oh, I really wanted to get that guy in free agency, but I can't afford it. So all good points, Wine, but you have to be careful with that. Heartsy will get you in here.
Oh man, dude, I've been trying to tell you guys that the Jackets should go get Mitch Marner for at least ever since it's been rumored that he wanted to leave Toronto. And yeah, it's true, the Jackets have almost like $30 million in cap space, but you do have to pay some guys that you already have. Like, you got to go get Sillinger a deal. You got to get Chinakhov a deal. You got to pay Fantilli. And there's so many guys who are going to be UFA. There's like a couple guys here that are going to be UFAs this July. Like, do you want to, do you want to keep JVR? Do you want to keep Corrali? Do you want to keep, you got to pay Voronkov. Do you want to keep Danforth around? Like, there's so many guys out there that you have to pay. And then there's some guys that you have to pay after next season, what happened? Do you want to keep Charlie Coyle around? I mean, it's kind of hard to weigh out your options. Yeah. But I would love to see the Jackets, make at least an attempt to get Mitch Marner. It would be nice, but at the same time, Vegas is up Toronto's ass at this point, and all signs point to Vegas. But if Don Waddell has any type of, I think Waddell is smart. I think he knows the risks of going after Mitch Marner. Right. But I'm now that I look at it, I'm 50-50 about it. I know Mitch Marner would be a guy to get the Jackets over the hump and get them to the playoffs 100%.
Well,
but it would kind of fuck you in the cap if you do get him and pay him all of the money that he has
for sure.
So I'm torn. But I do want to see it happen.
Yeah.
Right. We got a couple more comments here, and they're relevant to kind of what Hartsey was just saying. So, Boomtown says, "Fantastic breakdown, fellas. You earned yourself a new subscriber. Thank you, Boomtown.
Thank you, Boomtown. Thank you, Boomtown. I appreciate it. And you should be like, be like Boomtown and like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So check that out.
Right.
So, anyway." We'll get on to the next comment.
We have a kind of a unique perspective here because Josh DiSavino says on YouTube, Leafs fan here, I come in peace. On the Marner thing, I just want to say he's an absolutely incredible talent, but is not the guy. Questionable decision maker and needs insulating. In his next comment, he says, for the 13 to 14 mil, you're much better off passing on Marner and spreading the wealth among the ranks. And I gotta say, I agree with that because we have there's 28 million available. That's already quite a bit less than what was last year. And there's so many guys to sign. By the time you sign them, you might not have the 13 to 14 mil. And then, like Hartsey said, there's next year to sign people. And what do you think about this Leafs fans' comments?
So I agree with this. I know there's been some criticism about Mitch Marner, and the hockey guy did a video on that recently, and it was a good video. And his basic point, I'm summarizing the video, but basically, I'm paraphrasing it, but he basically said that a lot of the criticism about him is true, but then some of it is overblown and not fair to him. And when you think about, the amount of money that he supposedly could be getting, from like the 12 to like $14 million range, that does make you wonder if that's the right decision. And again, he's an awesome player. We've seen it, all of it with his time with Toronto. And I have no doubts that he would be a good player if the Blue Jackets got him. But, I don't necessarily feel comfortable spending that kind of money on one guy. I know sometimes you're going to have to do it. I understand, but I'm not so sure about that one. And Josh right here is right that more likely than not, you're probably better that you spend that money among your team and just spread it out rather than blowing that money on like one big guy. So that's just me though. This comment, I know Wyan would like this, that he would say would to this. Christopher says, I'd rather sign Brad Marchand than Marner. Fantilli will get a big contract when he's due. Yes, they definitely need help on defense.
Would.
And there you go, Weinstein.
There it is.
There it is. There it is. Wyan said would, just like as predicted. You know, I agree with that. That if you wanted to go the more offensive route, I know Brad Marchand is older, but he's still good, and he would be cheaper than Mitch Marner, so you wouldn't necessarily be blowing a lot of money there. So you'd still have some left over. So I'd agree with that.
After his performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like what a guy!
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
He was so
He's not
good,
just a
dude.
rat; he's the guy that gets it done.
Right.
He's a
Yeah.
veteran rat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, not against this idea, but again, this is only rumors. We don't know if this is true or not, but like what you read on Twitter from all the hockey, writers that keeps popping up in the rumors that it's probably going to be either like the Bruins or he stays with the Panthers.
A lot of
So
people
again,
saying Toronto.
I've also seen that too. I've also seen Toronto too. So
Yeah.
I'm not against it in some hypothetical scenario. If the Blue Jackets got Brad Marchand, it'd definitely be cheaper than Mitch Marner, but I just don't necessarily see that one. Wyan, you said would to this, so I got to get you in here if you have any extra input on this.
Yeah, I think it would depend on what Columbus values more. Do they want a guy that's going to get them around 60 points in the regular season, but will show up in the playoffs if they make it?
Yeah.
That's also cheaper.
Yeah.
Or do you want a guy that'll get you 100 points, but is questionable in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Maybe you pray he figures it out one day, but I mean,
so
Yeah.
Hardsey, you got anything to say here?
Now that you know what, now that I think about it, maybe Marchand would be the way to go. I think he's a vet. He's been around forever. He knows what to do to get into the playoffs, and he knows what to do in the playoffs. He'll probably lick a guy, but that's fine. But maybe you do, and it is
He needed
way
some
cheap,
salt,
dude. It's
you know?
less than half of what Marner's asking for.
Yeah.
I know, dude.
yeah.
He's low on
If there's-
sodium, man. I'm telling you. He's low on sodium. What's it taste? The guy's sweat. Who wants to know what Leo Komarov tastes like?
Yeah,
But
if there's
he
one
would
constant
definitely,
about Brad
he'd be way
Marchand.
better.
Yeah.
He knows how to piss you off, and
Yeah.
he's definitely
Yeah.
one of those guys where, like everyone says it, you hate to go against him, but God, would it be nice to have him on your team.
Right.
Now that I think about it, maybe the Flyers should go get him. Screw you guys. The Flyers should get Brad
every team
Marchand.
should be in on him.
Yeah. So, Josh here with another comment. He says, I guess the point is when you put so much money into one or two guys, you then live or die with those one or two guys as you go, as they go. And it is a massive risk. And that's absolutely true. You have those one or two guys, and it can backfire on you where if those one or two guys are not going that game, then you're screwed, because then you don't have much going else on for that game, and you're probably going to lose that game if those one or two guys aren't going that game. But on the flip side of that, it's like if you have those one or two guys that are just really good and they know when to just really turn it on and just step it up, oftentimes you win that game because of those one or two guys that just played really good and just took over the game. So that is an issue that you have. Sometimes that can be bad, sometimes that can be good. It's just, do you want to take that risk? Like Josh says here, I agree with him. It is a massive risk. Have anything to say about this comment here?
No, I think it just kind of continues all of our thoughts from earlier
Yeah.
a bit. Yeah.
You know what I think, though?
Same
I
with
think.
No, continue. Sorry.
Hello. Oh no, I think Columbus would be a better market media-wise to land a Mitch Marner because there's less pressure on his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's so much less pressure on his shoulders. When you're in Toronto, and the expectation is win, 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 and that's it, just win. And I don't care what you do, just win. And, compared to, Columbus, which, I mean, I'm not too sure what it is, but, it's like just do good and get the job done.
Right.
I think the expectation that would be on Marner's shoulders, or even Marchand's shoulders, if he, does decide to test the market, there would be so much less pressure in a market like Columbus than there would be Toronto or Boston. I know Boston goes hard on their people.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Wyan. Look at you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no, of course. No.
But you got anything to say about this one?
Yeah, I think he's just referencing the core four in Toronto and how it didn't really work, and you don't want to have
They all
a
suck.
similar situation in Columbus.
Right. I agree with that. Next comment from Christopher. It says Marchand leadership is worth 4 years and $32 million. I know Wine would say wood to that.
Yes, sir, would.
All right. So not on to the next thing. We're going to talk about the draft that the Blue Jackets had. So the Blue Jackets, they almost traded their first two draft picks in the first round, and those were picks 14 and 20. But in the end, they didn't do that. And what the Blue Jackets did instead was use those two draft picks and all their other draft picks. This is what the Blue Jackets did. So, oh wait, nope, that's not it. I gotta go. I picked the wrong one. Let's see here. We're gonna go find. Here it is, right here. Okay, so we're gonna put this up on the screen. So here we go. This is what the Blue Jackets did. Their two first-round draft picks. The first one was defenseman Jackson Smith. I like this one a lot. He is seen as one of the best defensemen in the draft. He was seen as a guy that was supposed to go top 10, but he didn't, in part because if you watch the first round of the draft on TV, there was a run on centers. Literally just about every draft pick until the Blue Jackets pick was center. You'd have like a winger in there, but it was like center. Teams apparently felt the need that they wanted a center, so they went out there and got a center. So Jackson Smith, a guy that was supposed to go top 10, didn't. The Blue Jackets could be getting a steal here. He's also 6'4", 199 pounds, and he's still young, and he's going to grow into that. He's probably going to be, you figure, probably 6'5", 6'6", and be 200 plus pounds. Big, beefy boy, just ridiculously huge. And you look at the trends on what Don Waddell has done with the drafts with the Blue Jackets. His first two drafts have been big defensemen that are physical and can grind it out, that can skate. That's how he kind of built out Carolina, and he's doing that with the Blue Jackets. He continued that trend this draft, as most of the people who he drafted this draft were guys that are big, they're physical, grind it out, and they're good at skating. That's what, they did pick two smaller dudes towards the end of the draft, the centers. But most of them were big, physical dudes who can grind it out and can skate. That's where the Blue Jackets seem to be going with their drafts. They also, the second first round pick is Pyotr Andreyanov. He is a goalie out of Russia, and he was ranked the number one goalie in the European rankings. And why the Blue Jackets pick him besides that? Well, the Russian scout for the Blue Jackets told Nicholas Backstrom, the goalie coach for the Blue Jackets, and Don Waddell, and basically every other scout that the Blue Jackets had, that this is a guy that you need to pick. If you have the chance to pick him, you need to pick him. ultimately, the Blue Jackets made the decision to listen to the Russian scout and pick him. And this is a guy I'm not saying that he's going to be a Andrei Vasilevsky or a Sergei Bobrovsky, but when I've read comparisons on who they think that he could eventually become, it's a guy like a Andrei Vasilevsky or a Sergei Bobrovsky. If he's anywhere near that, you take that, because obviously Andrei Vasilevsky, good goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's helped them win 2 Stanley Cups and get to, they've been in 3 Stanley Cups in part because of him. They won 2 of them. Awesome goalie for the Lightning. And obviously Sergei Bobrovsky, awesome goalie. He won 2 Vezinas with the Blue Jackets. He's a big reason why when he was there, they made, the playoffs 4 times. He's a big reason why the Blue Jackets had a 16-game winning streak during the 2016-2017 season. Obviously, he's won those 2 Stanley Cups with the Panthers. Like, really good goalie. So if you get the goalie that they picked in the first round, if he's anywhere near that, like they say that he may be, you take that. And then there are 2 defensemen that they got, pick 3 and pick 6, round 3 and round 6. They are also big physical defensemen that can skate and play defense. So continues with that theme. And then round 5 and round 7 are centers. They're smaller dudes, but they're dudes who, again, are guys who can be physical, guys who can work their ass off, compete, grind it out, but also they have a little scoring touch. They can score. So if the overall consensus of this is all of these guys are guys that are going to work their ass off, they're going to compete, they're going to be physical, they're going to grind it out, that sort of mentality. That's what the Blue Jackets were going for. So, do you, Hefty Duck, have anything to say about the overall draft class?
Yeah, I think that this was a pretty good draft by Don Waddell. I don't think that there was any mistakes, so to speak, or anything. Didn't they trade up to get that last pick too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They traded up multiple times.
Right. So they were wheeling and dealing. They obviously had their eyes on some guys. So looked like that they tried to get who they wanted and got who they wanted a bit. So overall, I like the Jackson Smith pick. We talked a little bit about it last week. Radim Merchka. It's probably going to be one of those guys at 14. And Radim was taken 9th overall by Buffalo. So Pyotr Andreanov, solid pick. I don't really know much about him, but just within looking at him, there's 2 first-round goalies this year. That's not always the case. Sometimes there's not a first-round goalie at all. And the other guy was Ravensburg, who we talked about last week as well. And I like seeing some Russian goaltenders coming in. I mean, just look at the track record. Granted, yeah, we had Daniil Tarasov, and he's going somewhere else, but he was pretty solid. And the single best goaltender in the league because he won the Stanley Cup. It's not Connor Hellebuck. It's Sergei Bobrovsky, former Blue Jackets legend. Sergei Bobrovsky, winning his 2nd Stanley Cup in a row. Right. So, with the comparisons, I like to see it. Pretty great. Malta Vass, once again, another good sized defensive pickup. And keeping in mind too, he's like 6'2", 195. These guys are all young. They could feasibly grow some more inches, and they will definitely grow more muscle too as time goes on. What was it? Owen Griffin. Also don't know much about this dude, but he was like the smallest guy in the entire Blue Jackets draft class at 5'10", 160. Once again, young, could end up growing an inch or two, and will definitely gain some muscle mass, I'm sure. 6th round, once again, another good defenseman, pretty big dude, Swedish, and it's pretty solid, I guess. I don't have much to comment on that. Same with Jeremy Loranger. Anyway, they moved up to take him. So, anytime that I see someone like moving to take a player, I have hopes for them, even in the later rounds. You never know what could happen.
Right.
First rounders are definitely the more likely to see a lot of more NHL time, but you never know with some of these later round picks. I mean, look at oh shoot. I'm blanking on it so hard right now. Whatever. It'll come to me later. Don't just disregard it. I said that. Sorry, it's sick brain, dude. It's sick brain. Anyway. Yeah. So overall, I think that I would give them. I've seen a lot of grades about around a B- minus or so like that. I think that that's pretty solid, a B or so for how good they did. Because obviously, I don't know.
So
I don't know what else you would have done. I'm not like behind the scenes there, so I don't fucking
no.
know.
Okay, so this guy Byron Bader, he's kind of an analytics guy, but he also likes to project on how he thinks players will do, and he's been pretty praising some of the Blue Jackets prospects over the years and what they think they might become. And he thinks very highly of Adam Fantilli, and there's other players he's thought very highly of. So when the Blue Jackets drafted Jackson Smith, he says the Blue Jackets get Jackson Smith at 14th overall. I was surprised this guy was still sitting there. Shared a near identical profile to Radim Murda. I had him ranked 9th. Comparables include Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, Mac Dumba, Kevin Korchinski, and PK Subban. Great ad for Columbus. So, hey, I'll take this if he's anywhere near any of those guys. I will absolutely take it. And looks like the Blue Jackets got a good one here.
Yeah, and to be honest too, it's 2025. So many of the metrics have been tried and tested since the dawn of the draft, and I feel like more accurate predictions are able to be made. Sure, there's always shit that's going to happen, injury or something, but still, yeah.
Okay, so Hard Sea and Wine, I want to get you in here, and I want you to talk about what your respective teams did for the draft.
I think Heartsy's getting food, so I guess I'll go.
Yeah, he is. He'll be back.
So yeah, my Boston Bruins had the 7th overall pick coming into the draft, and they end up getting very lucky, in my opinion, and ending up with a very talented player in James Higgins, who was going to Boston College in his draft year. Put up a point per game, and he was actually the consensus number 1 overall prospect heading into the year. But then he fell all the way to 7 when it came to actually draft day. So I think the Bruins have some star number 1 center potential here with James Higgins, which is exactly what they need in their system. They needed the guy that can be that number 1 center, and I think they could have gotten that right here in James Higgins. So very happy with that pick. And then I'll only talk about like 2 more players for the Bruins. I think they drafted William Moore, 51st overall. He was projected to go like late first, early second, so I think that's a good value pick there. Yeah. He's also going to BC, so they're basically Boston's farm system college, I guess. And then there was his name's Cooper Simpson. I believe he was playing high school in Minnesota, high school hockey. He scored a lot of goals. Looks like he could be a potential goal scorer on the left wing for them.
So, okay, so Hartsey, I want to get you in here, and I want you to talk about what your thoughts on what the Flyers did with their draft.
Well, how much time you got?
We got
I
time.
think. Oh man, I think the Flyers had a great draft. First of all, we get Porter Martoni at 6, who was just an absolute dog. I mean, played for Brampton this past season. Absolutely tore it up. Team captain. Played in the World Juniors and the World Championships. But
most importantly, had a Netco G poster.
yeah, he has a Claude Giroux poster in his base. He's built to be a Flyer. But 98 points this past season, 9 in the playoffs. He did pretty damn well for himself. He's being compared to Matthew Tkachuk, which if he's anywhere near Matthew Tkachuk, I will. Never mind. But we did pretty damn well. Hey, you calm down over there, dude. We went out and we got Jack Nesbitt. We traded up to get Jack Nesbitt, which I mean, I thought was a bit of a reach, but I think Nesbitt did pretty fine for himself this past season in the O. But it's okay, Briere. We listen and we don't judge. He played for Windsor this past season. We got some big boys. He's 6'5", 196, Nesbitt, and I think he'll be pretty damn good. He also played in the World Juniors this past season. But 64 points, 74 penalty minutes, which means he's kind of a rat. But
Hell yeah.
he was darn near a point per game player. I think we did pretty fine for ourselves in the draft. That's it. I think the Flyers had a A+ draft.
So Hartsey, I got a question for you here because I kind of thought of you when this happened. So originally the Flyers, they had 3 first-round draft picks, but then they used 2 of them to get to 12, and they traded with Pittsburgh. And I thought that was kind of interesting that, the Flyers and the Penguins don't like each other, and yet they put their differences aside to make a trade in the draft. Your thoughts on that?
I think Briere is the ultimate professional. I don't think he cares I don't think he cares whether it was the Penguins or not. The Penguins reached on those 2 picks that we gave him. It was 22 and 31, I believe, which were the picks we got from Edmonton and I think Colorado or LA, one of the 2.
Yeah.
But I think, just because it's the Penguins doesn't mean, we have to completely ignore them and put a restraining order on them. Even though I fucking hate the Penguins. I fucking hate the Penguins, dude, so much.
The Penguins.
Oh.
You're among good company.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So overall, okay. So I think we've had a pretty good. Actually, no. I have one more thing to share about Jackson Smith, which is Jeff Savoda, a Blue Jackets writer for the Blue Jackets, had this to say about Jackson Smith. Many thought Jackson would be off the board by now, as he was a late riser in pre-draft rankings and finished in the top 10 in some experts' rankings, thanks to a good combination of size and mobility. The 6'4", 199 defenseman filled up the stat sheet nearly a year ago, with the Americans posting 11 goals among his 54 points in 68 games, ranked 11th in our consensus poll and 13th among North American skaters by NHL Central Scouting. He is a prospect with big upside. And then it says how he fits. The Blue Jackets have turned the focus to the blue line in recent drafts, using 4 of their 6 picks on defensemen a year ago and adding Smith with their opening pick this season. Those players remain a few years from being major contributors, but you can never have too many defensemen, and Smith will continue to add depth to the CBJ system. Players with this combination of skill, size, skating, plus the ability to contribute offense from the blue line doesn't come too often, though Smith will have to continue to refine his game to keep making steps towards the NHL level. What do the analysts say? Ranked 6 among overall by Elite Prospects, 6 by McKean's Hockey, and 8th by the Hockey News' Tony Ferrari. Smith is a prospect who caught the eye of many leading into the draft. Stephen Ellis of the Daily Faceoff projects Smith as a top 4 blue liner, writing, Smith has so many things going for him. He's physical, he skates so well, and he's very mobile for a 6'3" defenseman. I also think his hockey sense is great. And it's only a matter of time until he finds a way to explode offensively. Chris Peters of Flow Hockey notes his decision will have to improve, but notes will, with a good athletic profile, including strong skating, a 6'4", after combined measures, frame and skill, Smith is an intriguing talent. He has all of the physical talents to be an impactful defenseman, but will have to work on his next puck decisions and proceeding speed in order to reach his full potential. So that's about Jackson Smith, and I think if anything, has anyone to say about this, or we'll move on?
No, not really.
Okay. So, Hartsey, you're lying anything or no?
I think we can move on.
Okay, then.
He'll do fine. He'll do fine.
Okay. So, we're going to... Next thing I just want to talk about, I just want to get this out of the way first. Just a little quick news, which is this. So, we've talked about this on the show before. Blue Jackets prospect Caden Lindstrom is going to Michigan State for hockey. Aaron Portzline has had multiple articles talking about this. We've covered that on the show, but this is now officially official from Caden Lindstrom's Instagram page. It's officially saying that he is going to Michigan State to play hockey this upcoming season. So, Blue Jackets prospect Caden Lindstrom is officially going to Michigan State to play hockey this season. So, anyone have anything to say about this?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, then.
So why would he go to Michigan State? And we should have went to Ohio, and it's closer to the Columbus and
We spent like an
Fuck
hour
you, man.
on that last podcast.
I know. We did. But Hartsey,
Go watch it. Go listen.
Go listen to it. But Hartsey, you're making good points, and you're jokingly making fun of the people that can't get past the fact that people go to Michigan schools like Michigan or Michigan State because Ohio State bias. But why
would he go to Michigan State when he could have just went to Ohio State and he's just right there? Shut the fuck up, buddy.
That's true. What Hartsey just said there is true. Realistically, it was never going to happen because historically speaking, Ohio State, they're average at best and they don't produce the top talent that goes to the NHL. That would be cool if that changed. But
RJ Umberger.
Yes, but he's not a Zach Werenski or a Kent Johnson or Adam Fantilli type of a talent that the Blue Jackets.
RJ Umberger
from Michigan
is the greatest. RJ Umberger is the greatest flyer to come out of Ohio State.
Probably, yeah. But
that flyer.
But I would like to see that change. Maybe Ohio State can get better at hockey consistently and produce top talent to where you can get guys like Caden Lindstrom to go there. But that wasn't going to happen. That's besides the point. So to wrap this one up, Blue Jackets prospect Caden Lindstrom is going to Michigan State. Now, on to the next thing to talk about, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. There is a lot of stuff going on in the Blue Jackets world. So they also made another trade, which is they traded Gavin Brindley for Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood, and the Blue Jackets also sent some defensemen. Go ahead, Wine, get in there, say the joke.
Miles Wood.
Oh, Wood.
Wood. There you go. I heard you laughing, Wine. That's why I let you get in there with the joke. So why is that a good thing? I'll tell you why that is a good thing. Because what was an issue for the Blue Jackets? Defense. Generally speaking, your third and fourth lines are more defensive oriented. You can get, some goals from them, but generally speaking, you're putting third and fourth line for more defense. And Charlie Coyle and Wyan, he played for your Bruins, so you can talk about him as well. But you look at what Charlie Coyle is, he's good at face-offs, he's big, physical. Sure, he can give you some goals here and there, but more of a defensive guy, and that's what the Blue Jackets need. They need better help on defense, forwards and defensemen and goalie. They need to get better on defense, and getting a guy that can help you on your third or fourth line is going to help with that. And if your third and fourth line is better, that means that's going to improve your defense as well. It's a similar idea of Miles Wood. Can get you some goals, but he's more of, physical grinder guy, hitting, can give you some defense. That is what those moves were about, which is the Blue Jackets needed to improve their third and fourth line, and they needed to get some defense. So, they traded Gavin Brindley. Do I necessarily like that? Not necessarily, because Gavin Brindley was one of the better prospects that the Blue Jackets had. He had, considering the fact
him and Fantilli were friends and played on the same team in college too.
Yeah,
so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it is. And look, when you watch the tape of when Fantilli played with Brindley, Gavin Brindley at Michigan, just chemistry, instant magic. A lot of the goals that Fantilli scored were because of Gavin Brindley, where he set up the play with an awesome pass. And look, Gavin Brindley, he was an awesome player at Michigan as well. He was Big Ten Player of the Year for hockey at Michigan, Big Ten scoring champion of the year for hockey, Michigan. He's a smaller dude, but he's got some toughness to him, some grit, a grinder out attitude. He plays bigger than he actually is. He can score goals, and he has that type of talent where he could be top 9 guy if everything goes right. Could be first line, could be second line guy, could be third line guy. The kind of guy you want to have. But I get it, though. To get something to improve your team, like a Charlie Coyle or a Miles Wood, you're going to have to give up something to get something. In that case is using draft picks and one of your better prospects to get Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood to improve your team both defensively and help out your third and fourth line. So overall, I'm pretty good with those moves, and that is something that it had to be done. So overall, I like it. We'll get Hefty Duck and everyone else in here to share their thoughts.
So, you know how every time like there's a new coach, every time there's some new players, when they go to a team. I don't know why I'm so out of focus. they're always like, I'm here to win games. I want to win a Stanley Cup. The goal here is to win a Stanley Cup and blah, blah, blah. I feel like Blue Jackets fans have heard that for a while, but with the past 5 to 6 years, it's not meant anything. But now I feel like it's starting to mean something because look at the moves. The Waddell, I think, is being very aggressive now and will continue to be aggressive until the start of the season, and then even after that. I mean, I can't track every trade or even that he ever did with the Canes, but he wasn't shy against going after quality players, experienced quality players, and obviously, so looking at how the Carolina Checkers, they're the farm team for the Hurricanes.
Not anymore.
Oh,
No, the Charlotte Checkers are Florida's farm team.
damn. Okay, never mind then. Damn.
Yeah,
We're
it
in
doesn't
trouble
make
in the
sense.
future for
I
Florida.
don't get it either.
Who said farm team? Whatever. Oh well, that kind of messes up my point that I
Chicago,
was
the
gonna say.
Chicago Wolves, the Chicago Wolves are Carolina's farm team.
Yeah.
Why?
Again, I don't get it either.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, that screws up my point. But in any case, yeah, the moves are being made. People are gonna grumble no matter what. People bitched for years about anything and everything, from the draft to the GM, and now we have a GM who is different and doing. I mean, it's not that Yarrow never traded. It's just that in the last few years he was there, he was not aggressive towards building a winning team. He was aggressive towards building a young, good core. And
Right.
so, with that being achieved, here we are, Stanley Cup 2026.
Why? And I want to get you in here and talk about Charlie Coyle because I know he played for your Bruins.
Yeah, Coyle, when he's at his best, he can be a very good 3C. He's great at protecting the puck. He's got good hand-eye. He can bat pucks out of midair. And yeah, like you said already, he's good at face-offs. He'll be mostly defensive, but can chip in offensively at times too. Yeah, he's a bit on the older side now, but I mean, he could give you that veteran leadership that maybe Columbus needs in that bottom six.
Yeah. Because the fourth line was, until they found one that worked out, which is, Danforth, Olivier, and, some variation of Corrali and, some other, anyone else that they stuck in there. There really was a lot of finding back, putting players in between and just find something that could work out. They eventually did find something, but it just kind of took a while. So then when you have a guy like a Charlie Coyle that that he's going to be good, third line, fourth line, that's fixed. And now you don't have to worry about that. And you can focus on other things to help improve your team. So, good move there. And I like the Miles Wood thing as well. Hartsey, do you have anything to say about this?
I mean, nothing major to say. I mean, I know Charlie Coyle, he definitely is an on-off player. And Miles Wood, I don't well, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember anything about Miles Wood, but I do know, seeing enough of Charlie Coyle, that he is a good defensive forward, and that's all I really know. That's all I know.
Yeah,
that's what that I don't know. I'm lost here.
Yeah,
I'm eating this food. I'm eating food. I'm chowing down.
Wine, you're saying something there?
Yeah, I was saying Miles Wood is going to give you some speed, but I don't know about much else beyond that, to be honest. But
that's fair. And
Wood.
Wood. Shout out to Charles Stanforth for reposting our show on Twitter. So thank you, Charles Stanforth. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now we move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about, which is the Blue Jackets have signed. The Blue Jackets have signed Justin. No, I'm sorry. The Blue Jackets have signed Dante Fabro to a new 4-year deal, just worth over $4 million at 4.125. Overall, this is an outstanding move, an outstanding deal for the Blue Jackets, because realistically, in my opinion, the way things were going, I think he's probably getting at least $5 million, because Dante Fabro, the Blue Jackets get him off waivers and they put him on the first defensive pairing, give him first line minutes with Zach Werenski, and sometimes he played second line, but most of the time it was first line. He did outstanding. Awesome. He had awesome chemistry with Zach Werenski. Ever since the Blue Jackets traded Seth Jones, the Blue Jackets have been trying to find someone that they know that they can count on a consistent basis to play with Zach Werenski. And over the years, they've tried some guys, and there's been some success. It's been okay, but it could be better. And as of right now, they have finally found that guy, and that guy is Dante Fabro. Dante Fabro really stepped it up, played awesome defensively, good defensive pairing with Zach Werenski, and then every so often he chipped in a goal or two, you know? If he scored a goal, it was just a shot up high from the point. He'd shoot it and it'd go in. So overall, pretty good move here by the Blue Jackets to get Dante Fabro for a new 4-year deal, just over $4 million. That's pretty good there. Good move, Blue Jackets. I like that.
I mean, imagine going from being put on waivers to being one of next to one of the top defensemen in the NHL, and getting the minutes you got. 62 games played. This last season, he had a total of 68. For the 6 games he played with Nashville, he had barely any stats, really. Just not really much. Just something wasn't clicking there, obviously. Because it's crazy that they dropped him to waivers when now he's being signed for. So he had been making $2.5 million a year last 2 seasons, 2.4 before that, and so I mean, good for him getting that contract. He played his heart out. He knew it was a year that he needed to do that, and now he's part of a team that's being assembled to do something Columbus has never done. So props to you, Fabro. I love seeing you play with Werenski. I hope we get to see you some more.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Wyan or Hartsey, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent contract for Columbus. He was actually somebody I wanted my Bruins to target on July 1st if he made it there, but obviously that doesn't end up happening. He stays in Columbus, and I think that's a good move for him. He obviously had the chemistry with Zach Werenski, and, you know, finding that number 2 defenseman that can maybe take some pressure off of your number 1 defenseman is also very important.
Right.
Like, I compare it to Devon Tays in Colorado. Obviously, you have Kale McCarr as your number 1, and then Tays is your number 2. Like, I'm not saying Fabro is Devon Tays, but I think it's important to find that D partner for your Norris winner, that Norris defenseman that can play well with them. So, yeah, I think that's a good deal.
For sure.
Hartsey, do you got anything to say?
Yeah, man, Barry Trotz is a dumbass. Like, what the fuck would he do? Listen, he's
good.
no, this dude sucks. But Yeah, Favreau definitely he wasn't going to do much of anything with Nashville, especially in the direction that the Predators were heading. They are trending downwards at a very ultimate speed, and I guess Favreau just wasn't helping out. But yeah, he tore it up with Columbus, and I thought he did way better than I thought. Uh, I also wanted Mr. Briere to target him when July hit,
Yeah,
but well, I guess we'll never know how that works.
right.
And hopefully he keeps it up. I think he'll be. It really is kind of like a Devon Taves kind of situation, or like a Miller and Fox type situation.
Right. Right.
So yeah, good. I mean, good for him for getting that check.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Then Charles says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So I have a question for you guys. I'm trying to start my own podcast. Would you be interested in joining me sometime on the podcast? Just let me know. Thanks. Yeah, that is something to consider. Maybe we can work something out. Maybe not. If not, oh well, that's okay. You know." But best of luck, Charles. Best of luck to you in your future endeavors, and best of luck to you on your new show that you're going to start. Hope it goes well for you.
If Charles is willing to put up with all of us, then yes.
You mean all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. If you want some dumbass from Philadelphia on your podcast, let me know.
Yeah.
And I will be there.
Yep. All right. So we've covered that. Now we got to go on to our next thing that we got to talk about is our player report card series. We're almost done. We're getting there. But we're almost done. But we're getting there. Just a couple more players to go here. So, first things first. Our first player on our player report card series for this week's show is Sean Corrali.
Yeah.
I'm giving him a C. It's not a bad C. It's a good C. And why? Because, well, his playing time was cut down this season, in part because the Blue Jackets didn't need him as much. When you have Sean Monahan, Adam Fantilli, Boone Jenner, and Cole Sillinger as guys who can play center, you're not going to need him as much. And so your ice time is going to get cut back a bit. But what I do like about Sean Corrali is that he is a good third line, fourth line guy. He's where he shines is he's really good at faceoffs. He's a grinder, penalty kill, block shots. Sometimes he gives you a goal or two, but where he really shines is faceoffs, penalty killing, more of a defensive kind of a guy, grinds it out, toughness, block shots, just that kind of a guy you want to have on your team. And there's some games that he didn't play, so that kind of cuts down on some of that. Didn't play as much. Overall, you get a C for me. That's the grade I give for Sean Corrali, but there were some good things that I did like about Sean Corrali here. So overall, he gets a C.
Yeah. So I think he did leave a couple games, but he did play a full 82 game season. Does it count if you're healthy scratched? Because I don't think so, right? So he had 17 points in that amount of time. He's a -4 with 40 penalty minutes. So, but yeah, his average time on ice was lower this year, and I think in part that was due to Zach Aston Reese as well, because I thought he was doing pretty damn well, and not that Sean Corrali's not doing well. It's just who is maybe doing better at that moment. And I mean, they both saw a lot of ice time. They both had 17 points. Zach Aston Reese had 3 less games, but they both had 6 goals, 11 assists. And so I agree with your C here. I've seen Sean Corrali play better. I I'm not saying he's playing horrible or he's playing worse than before, but I've seen him play a little bit better. In the last few seasons, he's played quite a bit less games, and he's got more points in the last 3 seasons than he did this season. But points aside, he's a really hard worker. He's a grinder. He's a good on his line where he is placed. Grade C is fine. In order for him to get an A next year, one, he needs to be re-signed. And with a team-friendly deal like Aston Reese was just given the Blue Jackets, he might have to take a more team-friendly deal as well. So first of all, get re-signed. Second of all, play the games. Get more than 20 points. Help 25 points, 30 points should maybe be your goal for next year, and I would give you an A, if not an A+.
Yeah. So Hardsey or Wine, do you have anything to say here?
Wine, you know this guy, right?
Yeah, I miss Mr. Crowley on the Bruins.
Yeah. I mean, anything else, Wine, or?
No, I think you guys kind of nailed that, honestly.
Okay, so Hartsey, do you have anything to say here?
Yeah, I think he should. I think he definitely should be considered. Maybe they will try to give him a nice team friendly deal. I think he'd be valuable to help mentor. I mean, I feel like he's been a mentor this entire run here, but for a guy who played a full 82 game season, and he's how old is he? 32. I mean, I think he'd do. I think he'd be doing all right if he. I think it'd be all right if you gave him a nice little team friendly deal. C makes sense though.
Yeah.
Give him a little bit more ice time, and I think he'll be pretty all right.
Yeah. Another thing to consider here: there is a possibility that Sean Crowley stays with the Blue Jackets, or there's a possibility that he goes and they lose him and he goes somewhere else. This is where getting Charlie Coyle makes sense. Right here. Don Waddell is taking a guess. He's predicting that maybe Sean Crowley goes, maybe he doesn't. And if he does, we have a good backup plan. And then our center depth isn't hurt. Because if you didn't get Charlie Coyle, and if Sean Crowley leaves, your center depth just took a hit. And that's one of the things that you don't want. Historically, when you look at the Blue Jackets, for most of their existence, their center depth has been bad. There's been a few times in their history where it's been good. This is one of their times right now where it's good. And if you didn't get Charlie Coyle, and if Sean Crowley left, that would make it worse, and you don't want to be in that position. So this is where getting a guy like a Charlie Coyle makes sense here, is that this gives you added extra protection for your center depth if Sean Crowley goes.
Yep.
So that's that. Now, on to the next player for our player report card series. Kevin LeBanc. I'm giving him a C. What I like about Kevin LeBanc, he was brought in for a little veteran leadership. He did exactly that. He was one of the guys that helped mentor Adam Fantilli. Started out on the second line. Had some moments where he looked good there. But he was more of a third line, fourth line guy, and he looked good there. He did get some, goals for the Blue Jackets, so that was good. But overall, he fulfilled. And if the Blue Jackets need someone to just play some games, go there and get the job done, that's Kevin LeBanc. So overall, he did what was asked of him, and that's all you can ask. And the Blue Jackets got him off of waivers before the season started because he was playing with the Devils, and he went on a heater in the preseason where he had like 2 hat tricks and I want to say was it 6 points in 7 games? And the Devils tried to sneak him through. It didn't work. Blue Jackets got him. So overall, pretty good move there for the Blue Jackets. I like what I saw from him, but he got hurt, so that killed his season there. So he didn't play a lot of games. So that's why it's a C for me.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in agreement here as well. Like with well, I just lost my stat sheet. Yeah, this past season, Kevin LeBanc, he only played in 34 games. He had 2 goals, 10 assists. So he didn't get a ton of ice time, but when he did, he made it matter, and that's what I think counts. 12 points. I mean, yeah, I'd give it a C. For him to get an A next year, let's see, what kind of contract does he have right now? Shit, is he injured still? He's on the...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, his previous cap hit was 775. I think that given a chance, he could feasibly do well in the NHL just fine. Unfortunately, due to the injury and lack of play, I think that that's going to be kind of a hard sell to re-sign when you're looking further ahead at, signing some other guys first.
Right.
But in order to get an A, get re-signed, play 60, 70 games minimum, and get fucking 20, 25 points, and just don't get hurt. Sorry, dude. It's not your fault, but I liked what I saw when I saw him.
Well, I agree with that there. Anything, Wine or Heartsy, do you have anything to say about this, or do you want to move on?
Oh, Wine's not here.
I know Wine Wine just left. Actually, fun fact.
Okay.
But I mean, first of all, I love Kevin LeBanc. He was great in San Jose. But yeah, the injury bug is a piece of shit. And yeah, if he stays healthy next season, wherever he goes, I think he'll do pretty fine for himself. So, it all comes out of the wash sometimes.
Yeah. All right. On to our next player in the player report card series. Luca Del Belbaluz. I'm giving him a B. Why? So Luca Del Belbaluz is seen as one of the top prospects for the Blue Jackets. He is a center. He's really he's really shined for the Monsters. Played really good. He would have been the AHL All-Star representative for the Monsters. No, actually, I think he was. But at that point, when he got called up for the Blue Jackets, he was leading the AHL in points. He was, I want to say, like top 5, top 10 in goals. Like, he was like really good. And he came with the Blue Jackets and, didn't play a lot of games, but the games that he did play, he looked awesome. And you can see scored some goals, just played really good. And you can see the talent is there. And you can see why the Blue Jackets picked him. He's probably going to be one of the future, potentially top players for the Blue Jackets, maybe. And a year or two from now, when you look at the Blue Jackets center depth, he's going to be one of the guys that's going to be there because he just has that much potential. And I like what I saw from him. Even his first ever NHL game was the last game of the 2023-2024 season. He played in that game. He scored a goal in that game. The Blue Jackets won that game 6-3, so that was good. But overall for this season, he played good. I like what I saw from him because when Sean Monahan gets hurt, they call him up, and he helped fill that center hole that they had, along with Adam Fantilli and Cole Sillinger and Sean Corrali. So overall, I like what I saw from him. He's pretty good, and he's definitely one of the better prospects that the Blue Jackets have. So he gets a B from me.
Yeah. Keyword here, being prospect as well. He's 21 years old. It's last season in the NHL. He got to play 15 games. In those 15 games, he got 8 points, 2 goals, 6 assists. Was a +2, and no penalty minutes. So he played safe, played clean. I like him. I think he's fast. I think his speed's great. I think that he's cooking in the AHL a bit more for some, just a bit more muscle maybe. He's listed at 179 pounds, 6 foot. So as far as the current Blue Jackets team goes, he would be one of the smaller guys. And nothing wrong with that. But yeah, keyword there being prospect. I mean, he just, how like they throw in a prospect or two at the end of the year sometimes. So last season, 2023-24 season, he played one game. He got that one game in just to get under his belt, and then this last season he was given a few more chances, and I think he did well. I mean, 2 goals, 6 assists in the NHL. That's not everyone can do that. Not everyone on the Blue Jackets did that. So a B is great, I think, for an A to an A plus. Make the team out of camp, guarantee your spot, get a permanent spot on the Blue Jackets, play 70 plus games, score 10 goals, get 20 assists or something. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
I think he could do it.
Yeah. Hartsey, your thoughts on Luca Del Belbaluz's name?
Great name. A lot of syllables.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
All right. So on the next thing I want to share is we all know that the Blue Jackets played a game against the Capitals back in April where they won that game 7-0. But one of the moments that stands out in that game is Dmitry Voronkov gets called for a 10-minute misconduct. And at that point in the game, it was less than 10 minutes. And that means that he needed to go to the locker room because there's not enough time for him to serve his penalty and go back to play in the game. However, though, because Dmitry Voronkov does not speak English very well, he does know some words. And Dean Evison has said this, that his English is better than people think it is. He said that when talking to the Columbus media, that Dmitry Voronkov speaks better English than people think he does. But given all of that, his English is still not very good. And so the ref goes to Voronkov and tells him 10-minute misconduct. Voronkov doesn't quite understand that, and he goes back to the bench, sits down, and he gets ready for his next shift. And we'll back that up. The Blue Jackets are on a power play, and Voronkov is sitting on the bench getting for his next shift. And then Voronkov goes on the ice. It's like 10 seconds to go in the power play, and Voronkov is playing on the ice. And everyone is like, what's Voronkov doing there? I thought he had a 10-minute misconduct. He should not be on the ice. What's he doing? And the play went on for a little bit. And then finally the refs caught it. And then he gets kicked out, gets it added extra 5 minutes. And then, okay, he's now off. And then after the game, Fantilli was asked about it because he was sitting next to Voronkov on the bench. And they said, well, he doesn't really speak any English. We told the refs that. So maybe next time, if something like that happens, go straight to Marchenko or Chinikov or Provorov if he's on the Blue Jackets and ask them to translate for him so that he understands. Why do I set this up? Because this jersey right here is that jersey from that game that Dmitry Vonkov wore when he was on the ice when he shouldn't have been on the ice. So I saw this on Twitter and I thought this was cool and I had to share it. That Andrei Gorchakov, I think that's his name. I probably screwed it up, so if I did, I'm sorry, Andre. But Andre has a piece of Blue Jackets history here. That's cool. I like this, and I wanted to share this.
Yeah.
So, Hefty Duck or Heartsy, anything to say about this?
All I gotta say is hell yeah. No, I think it's a funny moment, and to have a jersey to commemorate that is pretty funny. Can almost guarantee that he was probably so embarrassed it's never gonna happen again. I highly doubt it.
Right.
Shit.
Heartsy, do you have anything to say here?
Not really. I mean, definitely. Here's a suggestion that I have, right?
Yeah.
For the NHL, the next CBA that gets discussed, we need to discuss having bilingual referees that can speak different languages. Yeah. Get a Russian-speaking ref, a Finnish ref, a Swedish ref, literally any ref that can speak any European language, French, any something like this doesn't happen again. I want to see the clip of him being on the ice and the commentators go over wrong on the. He's supposed to be serving a 10-minute misconduct. I think that would be funny to find that clip. So that for me, and I'll give you one Philly cheesesteak if you do.
Yeah. Heartsy, you wanted to go on a heater about the NHL draft and how it went from your perspective, so this is your time.
I got time to rant about the draft?
Yes.
I got time to rant about the draft? Because I will.
You got a bit to start. The sooner you start, the longer you got.
So go.
Oh no.
This is
what happened?
This is your time to shine.
I don't know. I'm waiting on you. Are you good?
I kind of no. I started lagging a bit. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about the draft and how it the first round specifically, because I know a lot of people were watching it and wanting to know, if their team would take a good prospect or not. I know for a fact that my team got the guy who they wanted, right. But besides the fact, let's talk about the draft as a whole. Number one, it's decentralized. None of the NHL GMs, scouts, presidents of hockey operations, none of them were there. They were all split off into their own at their own city, at an arena, somewhere stupid. So we can talk about the fucking draft house and how literally all the draftees of the first round had to go into this big ass room with this big ass LED screen and talk to the draft, their drafters via Zoom call, because that's something that makes sense, Gary. And like, I gotta sit here and I gotta look at these guys, look up at a screen. Yeah, I'm excited to be here and rackle. And why? Why not just have the GMs there, take the picture, go back and interview? Why are we fixing something that isn't broken?
Yeah.
Why does every first round pick need to be interviewed? Why does every first round pick have to be interviewed by Leah Hextall?
It took so
ESPN.
long.
The draft, the first round took 4.5 hours. The draft started at 7. It ended at like 10:30.
Yeah.
I'm in bed by that time. What the hell?
Yeah. I agree.
And then of course, of course, right? Almost every pick was selected by some fucking celebrity. Charles Barkley is announcing the fucking. Charles Barkley is announced. First of all, Charles Barkley's announcing the Flyers pick, and everyone's like, "Oh, Charles Barkley's a Philly legend," and that's another conversation for another day. But I sat here at my desk for 3.5 hours, listening to all these interviews and all this bullshit when we can just go through the draft, go through the first round like normal. And I think the entire thing was ruined. And thank God they don't do this again next year.
Right.
Although it was nice seeing Bailey picking the Sharks pick. That was nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, Harry, thank you for coming on the show. Good to see you. I want to get you in here because you were at the Blue Jackets draft party.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
And what I'm going to say, I'm pretty much going to repeat a lot, and I want to concur with Mitch Kitten on everything he said. That thing Friday night, that was just a horrible disaster. Whoever signed off on that, I'm not
Bettman
wants to call for people to get fired, but that guy, whoever signed off, guy, gal, whoever signed off on that, they need their job reviewed because that was a disaster. Yeah, I was at Nationwide Arena, and the Blue Jackets, they did a great job with the party they had. They had a gear sale. They had some other special events. Matthew Olivier was there. Even Mike Todd came up to me, and another guy said, this draft is horrible. It was a slog to get through. And sitting in the arena watching it, you could just feel the life in the arena. It just left the room. It was painful to sit through. I don't know what they were thinking. Did they do a run through of this? Did they test the equipment? I mean, to see, especially, I forget what team it was, but around 10:30, they went to like 5 guys just standing there with their fingers in their mouths because they couldn't talk to them because, once again, technical difficulties happened. It was a shame because an event like this, if a casual viewer was just flipping by and they landed on that, there's no way they sat through that. No
Is it like this every year? Oh, it just sucks. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. It just was bad. And also, too, I concur as far as Bailey. Bailey was about the only highlight. Adam Sandler, maybe.
Yeah. Happy Gilmore was there. And now it's James Higgins. That was awesome.
That was good. But after that, it was like, why are these people here? The Goo Goo Dolls, okay, they had their day 20 years ago. They had a couple of songs. But even the pick, he looked at him like, who the hell are these guys and why are they standing with me? It just that was a disaster. There's no way they can do that next year. No way.
And I agree with
so far had the
I
best
agree with
with
that.
Willis
And
Gaudreau.
I was talking to my dad because we're watching it, and then it gets to the Blue Jackets' first pick, and they had picks 14 and 20. And I was watching with my dad, and it gets to pick 14. And, you see all these celebrities announcing who is it going to be. And my dad's like, ooh, who is it going to be? Is it going to be what? Is it going to be 21 Pilots?
Yeah.
Yep. Is it going to be 21 Pilots? Is it going to be Kirk Herbstreit?
We thought maybe Rick Nash.
Yes. Is it going to be 21
Pilots? They made the right choice.
They did make the right choice. But is it going to be 21 Pilots? Is it going to be Kirk Herbstreit? Is it going to be Rick Nash? I said Urban Meyer.
Nicholas.
I said Urban Meyer because he's a big Blue Jackets guy. Right. But in the end, it was Johnny Gaudreau's wife, Meredith Gaudreau.
Perfect. That also was a highlight.
Yeah. So in the end, it was Johnny Gaudreau's wife, Meredith Gaudreau, and I like that. That was good. She did both picks, so that was cool. Johnny Hockey Chan at the draft, that was cool. So overall, that was pretty cool, and I do think that they need to do the draft better and what it was.
They have to go back to the arenas. I mean, they had whatever they did Friday night. They can't do that again. There's just no way. That was a disaster.
Yeah,
the lottery was almost better.
I mean,
the lottery was way better.
Yeah.
Even at the arena, we got after the Blue Jackets pick, I figured, all right, they're going to shut this down. No, they kept it going for about another half hour, but 10:30, I think even the people at Nationwide Arena decided that's enough. We can't stick around for any more of this. Yeah. Everyone, please go somewhere else. Watch the rest at the R bar if you want. Yeah. But we've been here for almost 4 hours. We got to send our workers home. That's enough.
Right.
Yeah, we can't afford to pay these guys overtime.
Yeah,
come on, end this. Everybody get the fuck out right now.
Get the hell out. I mean, Mike Todd was even, let's get out of here. This is a nightmare. I don't know. I shook my head. I mean, we made it through because they were giving away prizes at the arena. So we're like, all right. Cool. The more people left, we're like, okay, our chances of winning something just went up. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't win anything, but that's the only reason we stuck around is because it seemed like as time passed on, people were like, I can't watch any more of this crap. Yeah. We got to go. Yeah. So, I don't know. But long story short, that was a disaster.
Yeah. But Harry, did you get any concessions when you were there?
Right. Yeah. You always ask the concession. I love how you always ask. Yes, I'm fat. I eat a lot of food. Thanks, Kevin. And then got my lights in my office. But yes, I had concessions. It was a very limited menu, though. Very limited. Pretty much hot dogs and hamburgers. Nothing special.
No Schmitz.
No Schmitz. No Skyline. Hamburgers, hot dogs, pretzels, nachos. I don't blame them. I mean, for that event, why complicate it? But it was great. They did a great job. The NHL, not so great.
Gee, I was going to say, you don't need to complicate it. The league will do it for you. Yeah, I know. Just take 15 years. Dude, I left to go I was going to go outside to go grab some snacks from the store, from the convenience store, like a 7-Eleven. Come back like 15, 20, 30 minutes later. I'm like, how has it been? It's been 3 picks. It's been 3 picks. The Flyers just picked. They're like, come on.
The Blue Jackets sent out an email. Here's the approximate times when our pick should come up, and it didn't even come close. And that's no fault of the Blue Jackets. But they're like, hey, our first pick, 14th pick, that should be about 8:15. Second pick, probably about 9:30. No way. Not even with that slog of a draft, there was no way they were coming close to that.
And you want to know something stupid? ESPN, screw you guys. The Flyers were in the middle of their pick, and I'm sitting through a commercial. I'm sitting through a long-ass commercial break.
Right.
And like the clock's ticking down. Have the Flyers made their pick yet? 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm seeing a freaking Geico ad. 1 minute. Clock setting down. Finally, the pick is in. We're still on commercial break. ESPN, please help.
And Leah Hextall too, as you said. And I don't like. Last year she was really guilty of it. Not so much this year. She's a little too touchy feely with the picks.
Yeah.
Hey, nice. Hey, good to meet you. Night. It's like, whoa. Back off a little bit.
I want to say part of it is a news thing where she tries to keep them at a certain distance because some people will kind of move inwards and away. Maybe because I noticed it last year and I was like, that's
last
weird.
Year it was so obvious she was always touching the picks and
because I've seen them sometimes they'll put their arm around them a bit to make sure they kind of stay in a spot and then they hold the mic or something. But it's still you can do it a better way.
That was good. So. Harry, I want, since you're here, as you look back on it, overall, what do you think about the Blue Jackets season that was?
That was a great season. I mean, I'm happy with. I mean, I wish they could have made the playoffs like everyone else. I'm sure everyone else in here wishes the same. Wasn't meant to be, but I think next season, I think they make the playoffs. I don't want to say it's a lock. I don't want to put a jinx, but I don't see why not. I mean, it was kind of nice. We weren't picking in the first 5 picks, though I guess we did have to wait through that slog of a draft a little longer for our picks.
Yeah.
But that was nice too. That was nice too, that we weren't making a top 5 pick for once.
Right. Do you, looking back on it, do you have any favorite moments from this past season for the Blue Jackets?
Well, I think we've talked about that before. The summer series game, obviously. Our summer series, goodness gracious. I am so tired.
That would be sick, dude. I would be.
I am in my office working on a Sunday evening, which, first world problems. But no, the game at Ohio Stadium, since I can't even get the name of it right, that obviously was a highlight. I mean, it's hard to top that.
Yeah.
Opening night's always a highlight with the blue carpet. The Blue Jackets do a great job. I'm a partial season ticket holder. Unfortunately, our rep has left. We're getting a new rep. Burgundy has moved on to the Miami Grand Prix, of all things. And they just do a great job. They bend over backwards and make their fans happy. So it's always great. I'm looking forward to next season. I don't want to wish the summer away, but I am looking forward to next season.
That's perfectly. You explained that perfectly. I feel that same way. I got tickets to a Reds game. I still got stuff I want to do in the summer.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if it was October and I'm watching the Blue Jackets play again. That's just me, though. So now, Harry, I do have a question here since you're on here.
In the dark, obviously.
In the dark, but
yes, my office, for some reason, my lights shut off if I don't move within a half hour. But yes, because I was talking to one of my Cincinnati friends, Dale. He's big Bengals guy, big Ohio State guy, Reds guy, Blue Jackets guy. But the Bengals are like his real big team. But he also likes Ohio State, Blue Jackets, and whatnot. And he was telling, because I was talking to him, oh, you went to the Blue Jackets outdoor game. That's cool. I'm like, yeah, that was a lot of fun and everything. And then he asked me something that I couldn't give him an answer because the bathroom lines there, at least on the upper deck where I was, were so awful just to get in. It was so long. And I was going to go to the bathroom. And it's like, forget that. I'm going to miss a good chunk of the game. I can't do that. Right.
So Dale asked, well, Dale said that back in like 2014, he went to an Ohio State football game when they played like Rutgers, and he went to the bathroom and it was a bunch of troughs, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that. And he wanted to know, is it still troughs now? And I couldn't give him that answer.
No, there's still troughs.
I know you were more of an Ohio State guy than me, so I'm going to ask you that question.
There's still troughs. You still take a piss in a trough in a lot of places at Ohio Stadium. Now, hopefully, the next few years with the upgrades, that'll change. It sounds like they are going to start upgrading things at Ohio Stadium.
I feel like you can still put dividers up.
Huh?
You can still put dividers up in the trough. I guess. You could almost.
I guess you could.
It's just weird.
But hopefully the troughs leave. Hopefully they get rid of the troughs and put in some actual modern type urinals with this money that apparently they're going to sink in. Of course, it's going to start with suites and amenities for the upper crust. That's what's going to come first. But hopefully, eventually, they'll get to replacing troughs. But yes, we still have troughs at Ohio Stadium, which Ohio Stadium, a great facility, legendary, historic. But yes, even I will agree, there have to be some upgrades. They got to do some upgrades.
Because I didn't. Well, that's good to know, and I'll tell Dale that. But I was just so, I know the shoe's an older place and everything, and it's historic and iconic, but it's also kind of old, so kind of outdated. But when I was at the Blue Jackets outdoor game, I was so surprised that the bathroom lines were like that.
Yeah, I during a football game, I'm not going to use the bathroom because unless we're in the third quarter and they're blowing out Bowling Green or someone like that. I'm not going to go to the bathroom. You're going to miss a huge chunk of the game. It's just the nature of the beast when you have 100,000 people in one space. I mean, I forget what it is, but I think there's some stat when Ohio Stadium's full, it's like the fourth largest city in Ohio or something like that.
Yeah.
So you get all those people together. I mean, you're going to have to, if you want to get something to eat, you want to use the bathroom, you better do it pregame.
that's what I did. My brother and I, we got some, he got a pretzel and I got some hot dogs before the game.
Right.
But I was just so surprised that it was that bad at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. And it's like, man, that's horrible.
Right.
Because I read some stuff on Twitter that people like, yeah, my dad or my sister or my cousin or something they went to the bathroom and they missed a good chunk of the second
Right.
period. They missed this, they missed that. And when I hear this news that, Ohio State, they're getting that new suite on the south end and they're doing all this other
Well,
cool stuff.
I'm sure those suites are going to have some sort of private amenity where those who are in the suites have a dedicated restroom, I'm sure.
But
those who pay that price are not going to have to wait in the line with the ham and eggers like me.
No, but my thing is because, I see Ohio State's getting all the money, all this money, and they're doing with the suites and all this other cool stuff that they're doing. I agree with you there. I hope that they eventually get to the point that they fix the troughs and they find a way to get a better lines for the bathroom.
I hope so. I mean,
having that.
The only thing I could think is maybe, I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I guess you put in more bathrooms. You try to put in some more areas for people to take a piss during the game. But I still think the bottom line is you have 100,000 people at one place. You're still going to have long lines. And there's just no way around it.
Right.
That's why you got to do number 1 and number 2 before the game, or if it's a close game, you just got to sit there and hold it and just squeeze.
I mean, that's exactly what I did.
Or just piss in the stands. Hell, I'm sure
piss your pants. No one will notice.
That's right. It'll smell
It's cold out. It's just extra warm for a while.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly what I did. Is that I went to after the first period. Yeah, after the first period,
piss in the can.
Piss in the bottle.
After the first period, I'm walking around on the concourse on the upper deck and everything, and I went from like end to end. I was just on the 50-yard section 26 50-yard line, just to the left, about 5 rows up. Right. And I basically walked from like that end all the way to the other end, and then I walked back. And before I went back to my seats, I went out to the bathroom lines like, oh, nope, never mind. And I basically made the point that, you know what, you waited all this time for the Blue Jackets finally getting an outdoor game at Ohio State. It's probably not going to happen again. So you know what, just sit at your seat, and if you pee yourself, you pee yourself. Who cares?
Did you pee yourself? Please
no,
tell me you peed yourself.
I didn't. I did not pee myself.
Okay, thank God. But I have yet to do that. As I get older,
and we don't judge, Kevin.
Yeah, as I get older, now the chances probably greatly increase of me either urinating or crapping my pants during a game. But as of right now, I have yet to use the bathroom in my seat.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna share this because I'm gonna rip on a Michigan fan here. So this guy likes Michigan, and he posts a meme that says the worst venue in college sports. And I'm sorry, sir, you're wrong. The Shoe is a great place to see a game, not just for Ohio State, but it was an outstanding place to see the Blue Jackets outdoor game. Outstanding. I loved it there, and 10 out of 10. I would do it again. The Shoe is a great place to see a game. This Michigan fan is wrong. Wrong.
I laugh at that stuff. It doesn't even bother me. In fact, some of the stuff that goes back and forth, I find amusing.
I understand.
Someone who put there's some meme somewhere. People have done it for Ohio Stadium. People have done it for Michigan Stadium, where they got the toilet lid shutting on top of the stadium. I always find that stuff funny.
I don't care. I know it's a joke. It's funny, but I'm calling this out. I don't care. I'm calling this out. I don't care. Harry, do you have any other favorite games you went to besides the Blue Jackets outdoor game this season?
You mean for the Blue Jackets?
Yes.
I don't know. I guess that the Stadium Series was so impactful. Nothing else comes really to mind. I mean, I had a lot of great games. I mean, they played well this year. I mean, I've been going since, the first year. I mean, there were many years where it seemed like there were a lot of, I'm trying to remember exactly what season it was, but it seemed like every game they would lose it in the final seconds. But so I don't want to rehash that. So I've seen a lot of bad hockey in 25 years, but that seems to be turning around. And I think next year is going to be very special, especially with the 25th anniversary. So I'm looking forward to it.
So, Harry, so you've seen the 25th anniversary patch that they're going to wear this season on the jersey. Your thoughts on that?
That looks great. I mean, they do a great job. Whoever is in charge of designs and marketing and graphic design with the Blue Jackets, they do a fabulous job. They do a great job with the logos and so forth and the merch. So whoever that person is, kudos to them.
Yes.
They deserve a raise, unlike the person who put the NHL draft together.
Yeah, that was bad, and that needs to go back to the way it was. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. So, of course, the Blue Jackets drafted defenseman Jackson Smith, and someone making a silly Ohio State football joke. And it's right here's a picture of Blue Jackets prospect Jackson Smith, and this person right here,
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yes, if this Twitter user here, EKINN3 says, is Jackson Smith's name gonna be the JSN? #CBJ, #Go Bucks. And for those of you that are Ohio State people, minus Hartsey like we are, you know that he's talking about Ohio State receiver Jackson Smith Najigba, who has Jackson Smith in his name and was a good player for Ohio State. And that's the joke that people are making, that is this the new Jackson, is Blue Jackets defenseman prospect Jackson Smith the new Jackson Smith?
Everybody say a prayer for Jackson Smith and Jigba. He has to catch passes from Sam Darnold this season.
I don't try to say. I don't try to attempt to say his last name because I'm always afraid I'm going to screw it up.
Yeah,
Jigba.
I don't want to be Chip Carey.
but
no.
But I got to put this up on. I got to put up on the screen. But so.
Oh geez, I know who that is. The person who tweeted that.
Okay, so there's a picture of Jackson Smith, and there you go, a picture of Jackson Smith Najigba, the receiver for Ohio State. Harry, you're a big Ohio State guy. Anything about this silly joke?
It's funny. I find it amusing. It's all right, especially knowing who it's from. I think it's not meant any harm. Just a silly joke, which Lord knows I know about on social media. That's all I'm about, is being stupid, and I'm good at it.
Hey, you got some fun shit posting on Twitter.
Yeah.
What's the point of having internet access if you can't be a dumbass?
That's right, and I am living proof.
Yeah,
Somehow, I don't know why. There's like over 2,000 people who follow my nonsense. I'm thinking they're probably all bots. Either they're bots or they're people who just, don't know how to unfollow.
People who don't know any better.
Yeah. I'm not so sure I would follow me if I was on the other side, but hey.
I'd block myself too. I'm gonna block myself right now.
That feeling. I'm like, I look back, Facebook memories, and there's some stuff from like 10 years ago. I'm like, good God, I must be having a mental breakdown at that point.
What is wrong with me?
Yeah, insanity.
I'm gonna file a police report against myself.
Oh Lord.
911. Emergency help. There's a dumbass in my house. What do they look like? It's just you looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's just, oh man. Describe yourself to the cops. They come in. Where's the perp? I am the perp.
I am the perp.
So another thing I want to share on today's show is that the Blue Jackets are getting a new roof. That is one of the many. There's other renovations that they're in the process of getting, but the big one is that the Blue Jackets are getting a new roof. I think that's cool, and honestly, I know it's 25 years old and everything, but Nationwide Arena doesn't feel that old, and it doesn't feel like it needs it.
No,
But,
it's a great facility for being 25 years old, and there are a lot of places now 25 years old. They're like thinking of tearing the place down and rebuilding, which I know that's not going to happen in Columbus. So no, it's still a great facility.
But so it doesn't feel or look 25 years old. So when I first heard they needed a new roof, I'm like, I'm not so sure about that one, but I get it. It's better that you do that now, and you don't want to be in a position or maybe like 1 or 2 years down the road, you need it. The roof caves in, or you need a new roof. And I don't know, instead of being, let's just say, I'm just using this as a hypothetical scenario, maybe it's $5,000-$10,000 instead of that. Now it's like $20,000 because you waited a year or two too long. So it's just better that you.
How much is it to put on a new roof, though? I would imagine it's probably more than $5,000.
I don't know. I'm just.
Isn't it like for the total renovations? Isn't the price like $400 million or?
Yeah. So it's the total renovation. It's $400 million, but the $10,000. I'm just pulling numbers on my butt here, just hypothetical. But it's good that they got this done now and not
bigger TVs in the concourse.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
Exactly. That's
So
let me tell you, hopefully you guys don't do all these renovations and then announce, hey, we're getting a new arena like how the Flyers are doing.
Yeah. I don't think that's happening here.
Yeah, the real estate in Columbus is in that area of town is.
And then my only other little gripe, now I'm going to get all old man griping, is that they've got the hat trick bar.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, when they built that bar, they would show other games in the bar. And then something happened mid-season where either a sponsor or somebody must have got to them and said, hey, you can't show these other games. It's got to be all Blue Jackets inside the hat trick bar.
Yeah.
My thing was, I liked going in during intermission and watching the other games.
Yeah.
Now you go in there and you got to watch, the silly, well, I shouldn't say silly. They do a great job, but, the on ice game or on ice entertainment. And it's like, I wanted to duck in here and, see what was happening in another hockey game or football game. That's the whole idea of the hat trick bar. But once again, first world problems. It's a very minor gripe. But bigger TVs in the concourse and widen the concourses.
So, the couple things that I read that they're doing is they're getting new TVs, like they're a new bar area, kind of by where the cannon is. They're gonna get a new team store.
That's a good move because that team store is during a game that gets very cramped in there.
It's
so
crammed.
I guess that's something I haven't really noticed that much because when I go to I have been there during the game and I didn't think it was that bad, but I can see why people think that. But also most of the time I go when I'm in Columbus, the Blue Jacket store is one of the first things I go to right away to get it done, get it out of the way.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting to see on where the heck did they even put the new team store? They'll figure something out, but I'm not exactly sure where the heck they would put that. But, that's going to be a new bar area by the cannon. I
do think the plaza out front is going to be shorter, smaller than we've been used to. I think some of that space is definitely going to be used to expand the front of Nationwide Arena, which I think is fine. I mean, the plaza really only comes into play opening night,
Yeah.
At the right time, it really comes into play. So if they bring the arena out further on the plaza, I see no problem with that.
Right. So it's, your new team store, new bar area by the Canon TVs, the plaza area. They're going to fix that up. There's going to be a skywalk bridge that connects the Ice House to Nationwide Arena.
McConnell Garage, I believe they're going to connect.
That a bridge kind of like by like the R bar area. There's something going on there. Just all this stuff that they're doing is going to be interesting to see.
I mean, you do have to probably after 25 years. It's a great arena, but it doesn't hurt to spruce things up.
No, it doesn't. FD Duck, do you have anything to say about this?
No, not really.
Yeah.
We're kind of
Okay.
running out of a little time here.
All right, so I'm going to share like two more things, and we can say all of our things, and then we can get out of here. I just because we're a hockey themed show, so I saw this recently, and I'm going to share it. It's a video of Joe Burrow shooting a puck.
Oh.
I don't know why he's there shooting. I don't know why he's shooting a puck, but I had to share this. It's a video of Joe Burrow shooting a puck. So there you go. It's Joe Burrow.
Hold on.
Shooting a puck.
It wasn't added to the stage.
We are deep into the off season here, aren't we?
Yeah.
No.
I can't see where the puck landed, but it has to be better than him throwing a baseball. There's video of that, and he did horribly, which was shocking.
Yeah, thank God he should be a quarterback.
Yeah.
His form doesn't look too bad. All he has to do is kick that leg out a little bit more and
looks pretty good.
Move the wrist a little bit more. Move that wrist a little
Where
bit
is
more.
this at?
Looks more like was that the draft party or Fanatics Fest in New York City?
Yeah, so he was at a big event that Fanatics had, and I guess they
Fanatics Fest.
Yeah, and I guess they had him do, hey, throw a baseball, shoot a hockey puck, I guess. So
I thought, bad.
Yeah,
cut your hair. Let's get blonde again.
He's a model now.
Yeah.
I know, right? He's so hot.
Well, allegedly, he's dating a model too. Allegedly,
I don't think it's allegedly.
Allegedly.
Again.
I just want to reiterate: we are deep into the off season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this
is running thin, especially for football.
Yeah. So,
can't wait for September.
We're Joe Burrow, Who Dey, go Bengals, and he's shooting a hockey stick, and we talk about hockey, and he's a big Ohio sports star. So
Cyclones, maybe the Cyclones will bring him out for a game.
Yeah. So just wanted to share this. It's Joe Burrow, real good quarterback for the Bengals, is shooting a hockey puck. So just wanted to share this.
I mean, he's no Carson Palmer, but he'll do all right.
Oh, Jesus.
No. Joe Burrow.
He's no Achilles Smith.
No.
Come on.
No. Joe Burrow is way
he's
better
no Andy Dalton.
Palmer.
You know what I mean? He's no
Joe Burrow is way better than
AJ McCarron, but he's all right.
Joe Burrow is way better than all of them. Anyways, but that's besides the point. So, okay. Hartsey, do you got anything to share before we get on it here?
Well, I mean, on the Flyers spectrum, other than the Zegers trade, which I'm very happy about, it's pretty dry on this part. I mean, now if you're asking me to shout some things out before,
yes, I am. I am asking you to do that. If you have anything to share that way.
Shout out to Porter Martone. I just put out a Porter Martone. It's Porter Martone, not Martone. Porter Martone. I just put a Porter Martone edit out on Twitter. So if you want to check it out, I think I did a pretty good job on that. Please follow me on Twitter. I'm desperate. But other than that, Twitter, Instagram, Matt V. Mitchkov's Discord Kitten. That's my handle. Don't judge me. I had nothing else.
Okay.
And of course, shout out to the Bandits out in Saskatoon. And shout out to Sergei Bobrovsky. That's all I got. Shout out to my boys Wyan and Owen, CTE
That's
fellas.
That's right.
And that's what we got left.
Okay, Harry,
Yeah.
the outstanding, the wonderful Diamond Dog champion.
I don't know.
Do
about
you
that.
have anything to say or anything you want to promote before you get on?
I'm at Harry from CBus on X, though I have no idea why anyone would want to actually waste their time. If you like the WWE, I guess you can follow me.
What?
I'm into that. Though I did not go to Raw last Monday at Nationwide. I regret it, but I'll just say I'll end it with yeet.
Harry, what about your fun Twitter spaces?
Oh, I don't know. Seems like they get 4 to 6 people at most, so I don't know about those, but we'll see. Yes, sometimes I do Twitter or X Spaces. And you listen to more nonsense.
Of course. What do
Yeah.
you normally talk about on there?
Pretty much anything. I mean, Kevin is always there to talk Blue Jackets, and then we talk a lot of Reds, and I try to force some WWE into the conversation, but most people just have no clue what the hell I'm talking about.
Who the hell is Jay Uso?
That's right. Yeet.
All right. So looking forward to seeing you at the Reds game, Harry, on July 13th.
I
Reds
will be
versus
there.
Rockies.
Yes, go Reds. They're looking great. 2 out of 3 from the Padres, 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. So peace out.
That's gonna be great. Looking forward to seeing Harry at the Reds game in Cincinnati on July 13th.
I'm glad somebody is, but thanks. I don't even know if my own wife is looking forward to seeing me, but thanks, Kevin.
Oh, okay. But no, that's gonna be fun. Harry, I like seeing you at Blue Jackets games, so that's gonna be cool to see you at a Reds game.
All right.
Anyways. All right, so like I always do, got to give a shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. I loved hanging out with you and seeing you at parties like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter and family get-togethers and birthdays and graduations and 4th of July and so much more. I love talking hockey with you. Good guy. You're a big Blackhawks guy, but the Blue Jackets became your second favorite team. The Blue Jackets became your second favorite team because of that. You became a big Blue Jackets fan because of me, and I appreciate that. We gave you a Blue Jackets hat that you always wore, especially at your cooking job, and it was a big hit among your fellow coworkers, even in Illinois, because your coworkers would say, "Hey, that's a cool hat. What is that?" And you would say, "Oh, it's a Blue Jackets hat. Hockey. My nephew gave this to me," and they think it was cool. And Doc, you told me about that, and that was so cool. And every day I miss you, and I wish you were still here so that I could talk some hockey with you, and you could share your thoughts on how you think the Blackhawks did this season. What did you think about the Blackhawks draft? I could tell you my thoughts about how I think the Blue Jackets did this season, and I could tell you my thoughts about how the Blue Jackets did this draft, and so much more. You unfortunately died back in September, but I wish you were still here so I could hang out with you and talk hockey with you. But shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. Thank you for everything. Now, as we always do, please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your family. Please tell your friends. You're looking for a little hockey talk. You're looking for a little talk about the Blue Jackets. This show's just for you. So please tell your family and friends. Please like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. One last thing for me, the schedules for hockey, they're coming out this upcoming July. And then we're going to know when the Blue Jackets season starts and when the Blue Jackets home opener starts, which means my Blue Jackets fan group, Union Blue Soldiers, will be doing our annual march to cheer on the Blue Jackets. And you should check it out. And this is a video featuring different marches that we have had over the years. And I am going to play that video. As you can see, look, there's Stinger's there. People from the Blue Jackets organization have been there. And this is the video. As you can see, we get good crowds. You probably get about 100 people or so, 50 to 100 people every year.
Idiot carrying a sign.
There's Harry right there marching on.
moron.
There's Harry marching on to cheer on the Blue Jackets, and he's got a sign. This was October 2019, and he has a sign that says, "I march." You march for Dom Taberry, who's one of the fun people in the Columbus media.
Oh, Lord. I am a goof.
But as you can see in this video, we probably get about 50 to 100 people showing up to cheer on the Blue Jackets. The Union Blue Soldiers March that we do every year is a fun way to be with your fellow Blue Jackets fans, to march on the Nationwide Arena to cheer on the Blue Jackets. It's been on TV, 97.1 The Fan. It's been in the Columbus Dispatch, and it's been featured on ticket commercials during Blue Jackets games. And if you've been to a Blue Jackets game within the last 6-7 years, you've probably seen a clip of the Union Blue Soldiers March on the scoreboard at a Blue Jackets game. So when the schedules come out, check out the Union Blue Soldiers March for the Blue Jackets home opener this upcoming October. Join your fellow Blue Jacket fans as we march on to Nationwide Arena to cheer on the Blue Jackets. This is a fun event to be with your fellow Blue Jackets fans to cheer on the Blue Jackets. So one more time, check out the next Union Blue Soldiers March this upcoming October for the Blue Jackets home opener. One last thing for me. Don't forget, you got to check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. All right, so that's it for me for now. We have gone on a heater here, over 2 hours and 30 minutes. This is definitely the longest show we've ever done, but that's okay. That's okay, because we had a lot of stuff to talk about in the Blue Jackets world today, from trades and drafting, player report cards, and so much more. And a shout out to Harry, my guy, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Kevin.
And Hefty Duck, if you got anything to say you want to promote, and then we can get out of here.
I don't have a lot. No, just check me out, Instagram, Twitter, and all that. You can find our links in our profiles. I'm so sorry. I'm feeling so shitty right now. I'm not doing well. So we'll see you again next week. Same day, same time. And until then, I hope you all have a good week. Stay cool out there, Ohio. See ya.